Welcome back, seekers of spiritual wisdom. Today we delve into the second degree of humility as defined by Saint Benedict. As we continue our exploration of the 12 degrees of humility, we find ourselves at the doorstep of the second degree, a step that invites us to relinquish our own will and instead embrace the divine will of the one who sent us. In our previous journey, we discovered the first degree of humility, where we learned the significance of fear of God and the importance of mindfulness of His constant presence. Now we move a step further, delving into the realm of divine will and personal desires. Saint Benedict, in his wisdom, teaches us that to be truly humble, we must not only be aware of God's presence, but also align our will with His. Let's dive in, shall we? Prepare to broaden your horizons and deepen your understanding of humility. The second degree of humility, according to Saint Benedict, speaks of relinquishing our will and desires, a profound concept that challenges us to step outside of our self-centered universe and embrace a broader perspective. Our desires, our wishes, our personal inclinations, while inherently valid, can often limit us, preventing us from merging with the cosmic dance of life. In this second degree, Saint Benedict invites us to let go of our own will and to avoid delighting in fulfilling our desires. Quite a demanding task, isn't it? Yet, it's not about suppression or denial of our human nature. Rather, it's about opening ourselves to the divine, about aligning our will with a grander scheme. Let's ponder on the words of the Lord as quoted in John 6:38. "I came not to do my own will, but the will of Him who sent me." These words encapsulate the essence of this second degree. The will of the divine, the will of the universe, the will of the higher power, whatever name you feel comfortable with, is not about imposing a rigid framework upon us. It's about guiding us towards our higher selves, towards a life imbued with purpose, altruism, and love. God, in His infinite wisdom, is calling us to follow His holy will. We are all woven into His great tapestry of salvation. Each of us has a unique role, a unique contribution to make. And for that, we are encouraged to set our hearts on that which lasts forever, that which transcends the fleeting nature of worldly desires, heaven. Those who persistently follow their own will remain tethered to the ground, ensnared by the transient and the mundane. They become part of the world, yes, but they miss out on the opportunity to transcend it, to partake in the divine symphony of existence. This second degree of humility, therefore, is more than a philosophical concept. It's a call to action, a call to align our will with the divine. The second degree of humility encourages us to understand and follow God's holy will. Diving deeper into this concept, we find that God's holy will is not a mysterious, far-off plan. Rather, it's a living, breathing directive that shapes our lives in profound ways. It is the guiding force that leads us towards our true purpose, our ultimate calling, and our divine destiny. It's the compass that points us toward the right path, a path of love, compassion, and righteousness. God's holy will is not a one-size-fits-all blueprint. Each of us, in our unique individuality, has a special role to play in this grand tapestry of creation. We are all threads woven together, each contributing to the beautiful pattern that is God's great plan of salvation. This plan is not a rigid roadmap, but a dynamic journey where every choice, every decision, every action matters. It's a journey that asks for our cooperation, our commitment, and above all, our humility. What happens when we choose to follow our own will instead of God's? Well, that's the crux of our discussion today. To paint a picture, imagine a bird. This bird is unique. It has the ability to soar high above the clouds, reaching heights unimaginable to other creatures. But it chooses not to. Instead, it decides to stay on the ground, hopping around, never truly experiencing the freedom of flight. This bird symbolizes us when we choose to follow our own will instead of God's. You see, when we decide to follow our own desires, we restrict ourselves to the ground. Just like the bird, we confine ourselves to the material world and its fleeting pleasures. We become immersed in earthly matters that, though they may seem significant at the moment, are temporary and ephemeral in the grand scheme of things. We forget to look up, to aim for something higher, something more enduring. We forget about our spiritual journey, about our eternal destiny. We focus so much on satisfying our immediate desires that we lose sight of our ultimate goal, heaven. When we follow our own will, we remain grounded. We become entangled in the complexities and trivialities of the world, unable to break free and soar high. We miss out on the opportunity to be part of God's divine plan, to play our role in His great scheme of salvation. But remember, each one of us has a special role to play. We are all part of this grand narrative. God has a plan for each of us, a unique purpose that we can fulfill only by aligning our will with His. By following our own will, we risk missing out on this divine calling. So to answer the question we started with, what happens when we choose to follow our own will instead of God's? To follow one's own will is to miss out on the divine plan that God has in store for us. As we conclude, let's reflect on the profound wisdom of the second degree of humility. This degree, as taught by St. Benedict, beckons us to relinquish our personal will and desires, to embrace instead the divine will of the Creator. It's a call to align our aspirations, actions, and attitudes with the grand design of the universe, a design mapped out by a higher power, a power that transcends our limited understanding. In essence, the second degree of humility is a journey from the egoistic self to the selfless self. It's about moving from I to we, from me to thee. It nudges us to surrender our self-centered desires and ambitions, and to adopt a perspective that is wider, deeper, and higher. It's about learning to find joy, not in the fulfillment of our own desires, but in the accomplishment of the divine will. This degree of humility is not just a philosophical concept, but a practical tool for spiritual transformation. It has profound implications for our life's journey. When we let go of our personal will, we make room for divine guidance. We open ourselves to the wisdom that is beyond our intellect, to the love that is beyond our emotions, and to the peace that is beyond our comprehension. In our daily lives, this might mean making choices that are guided not by our selfish interests, but by the greater good. It might mean making sacrifices for the well-being of others. It might mean finding satisfaction not in material gains, but in spiritual growth. It might mean seeking success not in worldly achievements, but in heavenly treasures. The second degree of humility also encourages us to see ourselves as part of a larger whole. We are not isolated entities, but interconnected beings. Our actions and attitudes have a ripple effect, impacting not just our own lives, but also the lives of those around us and the world at large. When we align our will with the divine will, we contribute positively to this interconnected web of life. To truly understand and embody the second degree of humility, it requires introspection and contemplation. It invites us to meditate on the divine will, to discern its guidance in our lives, and to align our actions with this guidance. It's a journey that demands courage, patience, and perseverance. In conclusion, the second degree of humility offers us a path to transcend our egoistic self and to connect with the divine. It's a path of self-surrender, self-transcendence, and self-realization. It's a path that leads us from the temporal to the eternal, from the earthly to the heavenly. Remember, humility is not about diminishing oneself, but about aligning with the divine. Until next time, continue your journey with wisdom and humility.